Alex Carter sat in the dimly lit control room of the orbital research station, his fingers dancing across the keyboard as lines of data scrolled endlessly on the screen. The hum of machinery filled the air, a constant reminder of the delicate balance that kept the facility floating safely above Earth. Alex wasn't one for drama or excitement, but today something felt different. A strange anomaly had appeared in the readings from one of the deep space probes. At first, he thought it was just interference, but the more he analyzed the data, the clearer it became. This was no glitch. Curious and slightly uneasy, Alex flagged the findings and sent a quick message to his colleague, Ryan Miller. "Hey, can you take a look at this? I think we might have a problem." Ryan, who was never far from his own workstation, leaned over moments later, his brow furrowed as he studied the numbers. "This doesn't make sense," Ryan muttered. "It's like there's an entire fleet out there." Before either of them could process what they were seeing, alarms blared throughout the station. Red warning lights flashed, casting an eerie glow over the walls. Everyone froze, unsure of what was happening. Then came the announcement over the intercom. "Attention all personnel. This is Commander Lisa Monroe. Please report to the main briefing room immediately. This is not a drill." Alex and Ryan exchanged worried glances before rushing to join the others. The briefing room was already packed when they arrived, filled with scientists, engineers, and support staff. The tension in the air was palpable. Lisa stood at the front of the room, her expression calm but serious. Behind her, a large screen displayed an image of the solar system. Dozens of red dots blinked ominously near the outer edges. "We've detected a massive alien fleet approaching our solar system," Lisa began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Their trajectory suggests they'll reach Earth within weeks. We don't know their intentions yet, but given their size and speed, we must assume the worst." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some people looked terrified, while others seemed stunned into silence. Alex felt a lump form in his throat. He had always dreamed of making contact with extraterrestrial life, but not like this, not as a threat. Lisa continued, her tone firm and reassuring. "I won't lie to you. This is a crisis unlike anything humanity has faced before. But let me be clear, we are not defenseless. Our technology may not match theirs, but we have something they don't: ingenuity, determination, and the will to survive. And most importantly, we have each other." Her words sparked a flicker of hope in the room. Slowly, heads began to nod. Lisa turned to Alex and Ryan. "You two discovered this threat. Now, I need your help to stop it. We have experimental weapons and prototypes aboard this station. Your job is to figure out how we can use them against the invaders." Alex swallowed hard. He wasn't a soldier or a hero. He was just an engineer. But looking around the room, he saw the faces of his colleagues, all counting on him to do his part. For the first time, he understood what Lisa meant about humanity standing together. As the meeting broke up, Alex approached Lisa. "Commander, I'm not sure I'm the right person for this," he admitted quietly. Lisa placed a hand on his shoulder. "None of us are ready for something like this, Alex. But sometimes the hardest battles bring out the best in us. Trust yourself and trust your team." With those words echoing in his mind, Alex returned to his workstation, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Back on Earth, the news of the alien fleet spread like wildfire. Within hours, every television screen, smartphone, and radio station was broadcasting the same alarming message: humanity was under threat. The initial shock gave way to panic as people scrambled to prepare for the worst. Supermarkets were flooded with customers stocking up on supplies, gas stations ran out of fuel, and highways became clogged with families trying to evacuate cities. In New York City, Samantha Brooks sat in her small apartment, watching the chaos unfold on the evening news. As a high school teacher, she had always believed in the power of community. But now, seeing the fear gripping her city, she knew she had to do something. Early the next morning, Samantha gathered a group of neighbors in her building's lobby. "We can't just sit here and wait," she told them. "Let's organize ourselves, help each other get ready, share resources, and make sure no one gets left behind." Her words struck a chord. Within days, Samantha's little group grew into a neighborhood effort. Volunteers distributed food, helped elderly residents pack their belongings, and even set up a makeshift daycare for parents who needed to focus on preparations. Despite the uncertainty looming over everyone, there was a sense of unity that hadn't been seen in years. Meanwhile, in Houston, Texas, Jack Harper watched the same news reports with a mix of anger and sadness. A retired astronaut in his late 60s, Jack had spent decades exploring the stars and dreaming of peaceful contact with alien life. Now, those dreams felt shattered. But instead of giving in to despair, he decided to act. The government had issued a call for volunteers to help train civilians in basic survival and defense skills, and Jack signed up immediately. At the training center, Jack found himself surrounded by people from all walks of life, young and old, men and women, some with military experience and others with none at all. On his first day, he stood before a group of nervous recruits, holding a simple flashlight in one hand. "This isn't about being fearless," he told them. "It's about being ready. Fear is natural, but it doesn't have to control you. If we work together, we can face anything." His calm demeanor and practical advice quickly earned him the respect of the trainees. One woman, a single mother named Maria, approached him after a session. "I'm scared," she admitted. "What if I mess up? What if I can't protect my kids?" Jack placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're already doing the most important thing. Trying. That's what matters." Across the globe, similar stories unfolded. In London, a teenager named Daniel started a social media campaign encouraging people to send messages of support to the crew aboard the orbital station. Thousands of posts poured in, filled with gratitude and hope. In Tokyo, a group of engineers worked around the clock to adapt civilian drones for reconnaissance missions. Even in remote villages, communities came together to share what little they had, proving that humanity's spirit could shine brightest in the darkest times. Governments, too, began to unite in ways never seen before. Long-standing rivalries were set aside as nations pooled their resources and shared intelligence. Emergency councils were formed, bringing leaders from every corner of the world to strategize and plan. It wasn't perfect. There were disagreements and delays. But the overarching goal remained clear. Earth would not fall without a fight. As the days passed, the sense of fear slowly transformed into determination. People realized that while the threat was immense, so was humanity's capacity to stand together. From classrooms to boardrooms, from farms to factories, ordinary individuals stepped up to play their part. They weren't soldiers or scientists, but they understood that every effort counted. One evening, as Samantha coordinated another supply run in her neighborhood, she received a text from her younger brother, stationed aboard the orbital facility. "We're working on something big," he wrote. "Don't lose hope. Humanity has your back." Reading those words, Samantha smiled through tears. For the first time since the crisis began, she truly believed that no matter what happened next, humanity would find a way to endure, and maybe, just maybe, emerge stronger than ever. Alex and Ryan worked tirelessly in the orbital station's engineering bay, their minds racing as they tried to turn old technology into something that could stop an alien fleet. The task felt impossible, but they didn't have time to doubt themselves. Every second counted. They were joined by Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a physicist known for her sharp mind and no-nonsense attitude. She quickly became the glue holding the team together, offering solutions when frustration threatened to take over. "We need to focus on the EMP weapon," Elena said one evening, pointing to a blueprint on the screen. "If we can disable their systems, it'll give us a fighting chance." "But how do we get close enough to use it?" Alex asked, rubbing his tired eyes. "Their ships are huge, and they'll see us coming from miles away. That's where the pilots come in," Ryan replied, nodding toward two figures walking into the bay. One was Mia Dawson, a daring test pilot with a reputation for taking risks. The other was Kevin Shaw, a former Air Force captain who had left the military after a mission gone wrong. Both had been assigned to lead the attack. Mia crossed her arms and smirked. "So, you're the brains behind this operation. Let's hope you're as good as they say." Kevin, quieter and more reserved, studied the plans carefully. "This is risky," he said finally. "But if it works, it might just save us all." The team spent hours going over every detail. Mia suggested using decoys, small drones equipped with fake signals, to confuse the enemy and create openings for the real attack. Kevin added ideas for evasive maneuvers, drawing on his combat experience. Slowly, a plan began to take shape. Still, tensions ran high. Mia's boldness clashed with Kevin's cautious approach, leading to heated arguments. "You can't just charge in like some action hero." Kevin snapped during one disagreement. "We need precision, not recklessness. And we don't have time for perfection." Mia shot back. "Sometimes you just have to trust your instincts and go for it." Elena stepped in before things escalated further. "Both of you have valid points," she said firmly. "But arguing won't help anyone. We need to combine your strengths, not fight over them." Her words hit home. Reluctantly, Mia and Kevin agreed to work together, though their mutual distrust lingered. Meanwhile, Alex struggled with his own doubts. He wasn't used to being in the spotlight, and the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on him. One night, as he stared at the glowing screens in the lab, Lisa found him sitting alone. "You look like you're carrying the world on your shoulders," she said gently. I don't know if I'm cut out for this," Alex admitted. "What if I mess up? What if my calculations are wrong?" Lisa sat down beside him. "No one expects you to be perfect, Alex. None of us are. But what makes humanity strong isn't perfection. It's persistence. You've already done incredible work. Trust yourself." Her words helped, but Alex still felt the pressure. The next morning, as the team gathered to review the final plans, he noticed something taped to his workstation, a drawing of a rocket with the words, "You've got this," scrawled underneath. It was from Ethan, the young boy who had sent a letter of encouragement to the crew. Alex smiled, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. By the end of the week, the preparations were nearly complete. Old spacecraft had been retrofitted with weapons and shields, drones were programmed with decoy signals, and the EMP device was ready for deployment. The team gathered one last time to go over the strategy. Mia and Kevin stood side by side, their earlier animosity replaced by a shared determination. "This isn't just about us," Maya said, addressing the group. "It's about everyone back on Earth. If we succeed, we give them a chance to keep fighting." Kevin nodded. "And if we fail, we make sure they know we gave it everything we had." As the meeting ended, Alex looked around at the faces of his teammates. For the first time, he truly believed they had a shot, not because of any one person, but because of what they could achieve together. The odds were against them, but they weren't giving up. Not now, not ever. The day of the mission arrived, and the mood aboard the orbital station was a mix of nerves and determination. Alex double-checked the systems on the EMP weapon one last time, his hands trembling slightly as he worked. He knew this device was their best chance, but the pressure weighed heavily on him. Nearby, Ryan ran diagnostics on the retrofitted ships, ensuring everything was in working order. The pilots, Mia and Kevin, suited up in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. Commander Lisa Monroe gave a final briefing before the launch. "Remember, this isn't just about us," she said firmly. "Every person on Earth is counting on you. Stay focused, stay sharp, and trust each other." As the team boarded their ships, Alex watched from the control room. His heart raced as the countdown began. When the engines roared to life, the entire station vibrated. Moments later, the fleet launched into the vastness of space, heading straight toward the alien armada. The journey was tense. Mia flew at the front, her movements precise as she guided the ships through the void. Kevin followed closely, keeping an eye on their surroundings. Behind them, decoy drones were released, spreading false signals to confuse the enemy. On the command ship, Alex monitored the data streams, watching for any sign of trouble. When the alien fleet finally came into view, it was even more intimidating than anyone had imagined. The massive ships loomed like mountains against the blackness of space, their surfaces glinting with strange lights. Mia's voice crackled over the comms. "This is it. Hold tight." The first wave of enemy fire streaked past, narrowly missing their ships. Maya reacted instantly, weaving through the chaos with incredible skill. Kevin stayed close, using evasive maneuvers to avoid the blasts. Meanwhile, Elena coordinated the deployment of the decoys, drawing the aliens' attention away from the real attack. Back on the command ship, Alex felt sweat trickle down his face. "EMP is ready," he announced. "But we need to get closer." "How much closer?" Kevin asked, his tone tight with tension. "Another 1,000 meters," Alex replied. "Any farther, and it won't work." Mia gritted her teeth. "All right, let's do this." She pushed the throttle forward, diving straight toward the largest alien vessel. Enemy fire intensified, lighting up the darkness around them. For a moment, it seemed impossible to survive. But then, Kevin spotted an opening, a gap in the enemy's defenses. "There," he shouted. "Follow me." Together, they slipped through the gap, closing the distance to the target. Alex held his breath, his fingers hovering over the activation controls. "We're in range," he called out. "Do it," Lisa ordered. Alex hesitated, his mind racing. What if he was wrong? What if the weapon failed? Just as doubt threatened to overwhelm him, he remembered Ethan's drawing, the rocket, and the words, "You've got this." Taking a deep breath, he pressed the button. The EMP burst outward, invisible but powerful. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the alien ships began to falter. Their weapons went silent, their engines sputtered, and their massive forms drifted helplessly in space. "We did it," Mia whispered, her voice filled with awe. But the battle wasn't over yet. Though the aliens were disabled, the human fleet still needed to act quickly to neutralize the threat. As the team regrouped, Kevin spoke up. "Good job, everyone. Now let's finish this." For the first time since the mission began, Alex allowed himself to feel a flicker of hope. They had faced the impossible, and they had won. With the alien fleet disabled, the human team moved quickly to capitalize on their advantage. Mia and Kevin led the charge, guiding their ships toward the largest alien vessels. The once mighty Armada now floated silently in space, its systems crippled by the EMP blast. But even though the aliens were vulnerable, no one dared to relax. Everyone knew this was the moment that would decide Earth's fate. "Focus," Maya said into her comms, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "We don't know how long the EMP will keep them down." Kevin nodded, even though no one could see him through the cockpit. "Let's make every shot count." The human ships split into smaller groups, targeting key areas of the alien vessels. Their goal wasn't just to destroy, but to disable, blasting engines, weapons arrays, and communication hubs to ensure the aliens couldn't recover or retaliate. Explosions lit up the darkness as missiles struck their marks, sending debris spinning into the void. Mia flew with precision, dodging stray fragments while firing at weak points in the enemy hulls. Her movements were fearless, almost reckless, but they got results. On the command ship, Alex monitored the battle from his station, his eyes glued to the screens. He felt a surge of pride watching Mia and Kevin work together, their earlier tension replaced by seamless coordination. Even so, he couldn't shake the weight of responsibility. If anything went wrong, it would fall on him to fix it. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood beside him, offering calm advice whenever needed. "You're doing great," she said quietly. "Just stay focused." Back on Earth, Millions watched live feeds of the battle, holding their breath with every explosion. News anchors provided updates, their voices trembling with emotion. Families gathered around televisions, praying for the safety of the crew. In New York City, Samantha Brooks sat with her neighbors, clutching Ethan's hand tightly. The young boy had become a symbol of hope after his letter to the orbital crew was shared online. "They're winning," Samantha whispered, tears streaming down her face. "They're really doing it." As the fight continued, Kevin found himself reflecting on his journey. For years, he carried guilt over past failures, letting it define him. But now, in the heat of battle, he realized something important. Redemption wasn't about being perfect. It was about trying again, even when the odds seemed impossible. Flying alongside Mia, pushing forward despite the danger, made him feel alive in a way he hadn't in years. Mia, too, felt a shift within herself. Known for her boldness and confidence, she had always worked alone, trusting no one but herself. Yet here she was, relying on Kevin and the entire team to succeed. It was humbling, but also empowering. She glanced at his ship on her radar and smirked. "Not bad for a guy who used to doubt me," she muttered under her breath. The turning point came when Mia spotted a critical vulnerability, a massive power core exposed on one of the alien ships. If they could destroy it, the entire vessel might collapse. "Kevin, cover me," she ordered, diving straight toward the target. Enemy drones swarmed around her, but Kevin held them off, firing relentlessly to clear her path. With seconds to spare, Mia launched a missile directly into the core. A blinding flash erupted as the alien ship broke apart, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. "We did it!" Mia shouted triumphantly. But there was no time to celebrate. The remaining alien ships began drifting away, retreating into the depths of space. Though weakened, they weren't completely defeated. Still, the human fleet had achieved the impossible. They had turned the tide. As the dust settled, Alex leaned back in his chair, exhaustion washing over him. They had faced an overwhelming threat and emerged victorious. But more than that, they had proven something far greater. Humanity's strength lay not in individual heroes but in unity. Together, they had saved Earth and given it a fighting chance for the future. The alien fleet was in full retreat, its massive ships limping away from Earth's solar system. The human crew watched as the last of the invaders disappeared into the vastness of space, their once menacing presence now reduced to faint blips on the radar. For a moment, there was silence. No alarms, no explosions, just the quiet hum of the ship's engines and the collective relief of everyone aboard. Mia let out a long breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. "That's it," she said softly, her voice tinged with disbelief. "We actually did it." Kevin nodded, his hand still gripping the controls even though the battle was over. He stared at the empty void where the alien ships had been moments before. "Yeah," he replied, his tone thoughtful, "but we couldn't have done it alone." Alex sat back in his chair on the command ship, feeling a wave of exhaustion wash over him. His mind replayed every moment of the mission, the calculations, the risks, the split-second decisions. It had all come down to this, and somehow they had pulled through. Beside him, Alina placed a hand on his shoulder. "You held it together when it mattered most," she said with a small smile. "That's what makes you a hero." "Hero?" Alex shook his head. "I don't feel like one. I just did my part." "And that's exactly what made the difference," Lisa chimed in, her voice filled with pride. She stood at the front of the control room, looking out at the crew. "Every single person here played a role in this victory, from the engineers who built our ships to the pilots who flew them, and everyone back on Earth who supported us. We did this together." Back on Earth, the news of the victory spread like wildfire. Crowds gathered in streets and public squares, cheering and waving flags. Strangers hugged each other, tears streaming down their faces. In New York City, Samantha Brooks stood on her apartment balcony, watching fireworks light up the night sky. Her neighbors were already planning a celebration for the next day, but for now, she simply soaked in the moment. Humanity had faced its darkest hour and triumphed. In Houston, Jack Harper watched the live broadcast with a mixture of relief and awe. The retired astronaut had spent decades dreaming of encountering alien life, but never like this. Still, he couldn't help but feel proud of what humanity had achieved. When Maria, one of the trainees he'd worked with, called to thank him for his guidance, Jack felt a lump form in his throat. "You didn't need me," he told her. "You found your own strength. That's what saved us." As the days passed, the orbital station prepared to return to Earth. The crew knew they would be greeted as heroes, but none of them sought glory. For Mia, the mission had taught her the value of trust and teamwork. For Kevin, it had been a chance to redeem himself, not by erasing past mistakes, but by proving he could rise above them. And for Alex, it had shown him that even ordinary people could do extraordinary things when they worked together. Before leaving the station, Alex found a moment to sit alone and reflect. He pulled out Ethan's letter, reading it again. The boy's simple words, "Thank you for standing up for humanity," meant more to him than any medal or award ever could. It reminded him why they had fought so hard, not for fame or recognition, but to protect the people who believed in them. When the crew finally landed back on Earth, they were met with thunderous applause. Families reunited, speeches were given, and celebrations stretched on for days. Lissa delivered a heartfelt address, emphasizing that this victory wasn't just about the team. It was about every person who had contributed, no matter how small their role. As Mia and Kevin stood side by side during the ceremony, they shared a quiet moment of understanding. They had started the mission as reluctant partners, but now they were something more, comrades who had faced the impossible together. Not bad for a couple of misfits, Maya teased, nudging him lightly. Kevin chuckled. Guess we make a pretty good team after all. Though the threat had passed, for now, the experience left a lasting mark on everyone. It proved that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in technology or weapons, but in its ability to unite and persevere. Together, they had stared down an alien invasion and emerged stronger than ever. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they knew one thing for certain: humanity would always stand ready to fight for its future. The victory celebration stretched across the globe, lighting up cities and towns with a sense of unity humanity hadn't felt in years. Fireworks exploded in the night sky, their colors reflecting off the faces of millions who had gathered to honor the heroes. In New York City, Samantha Brooks stood among her neighbors, holding Ethan's hand as they watched the festivities. The young boy beamed with pride, knowing that his simple letter had inspired so many. "Do you think they'll read it at the ceremony?" he asked excitedly. Samantha smiled, ruffling his hair. "I think they already have, kiddo." Meanwhile, Jack Harper sat quietly in his Houston home, watching the televised speeches from the comfort of his armchair. Though he had played only a small part in preparing civilians for the crisis, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Humanity had faced its greatest fear, and won. As Maria texted him another thank you message, Jack realized something important. This victory wasn't just about stopping an alien invasion. It was about rediscovering what made humanity special: the courage to stand together, even when the odds seemed impossible. Back at the main ceremony, Alex Carter stood nervously on stage alongside his teammates. The crowd roared with applause, but Alex felt out of place under the spotlight. He wasn't used to being called a hero. When Lisa handed him the microphone, he hesitated for a moment before speaking. His voice trembled at first, but as he began to talk, his words grew steadier. "This victory doesn't belong to us," he said, looking out at the sea of faces. "It belongs to all of you, to every person who worked, hoped, and believed in us. We couldn't have done it without your support." He held up Ethan's letter, showing it to the audience. "This is what kept me going, a reminder that we fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone counting on us." The crowd erupted into cheers, moved by his humility. Maya and Kevin exchanged glances, nodding approvingly. Even though they had played key roles in the battle, neither sought personal glory. Instead, they joined Alex on stage, standing shoulder to shoulder as symbols of teamwork and resilience. As the ceremony drew to a close, Lissa delivered one final speech. Her voice carried strength and warmth as she addressed the world. Today, we celebrate not just a victory against an alien threat, but a triumph of the human spirit. This mission showed us that no challenge is too great when we work together. We may not know what the future holds, but I can promise you this: humanity will always rise to meet it. Her words resonated deeply, sparking hope and determination in everyone who heard them. The celebrations continued long into the night, but for many, the real work was just beginning. Governments and organizations came together to rebuild what had been damaged during the crisis. Scientists studied the remnants of the alien technology left behind, hoping to learn more about their mysterious foes. And ordinary people returned to their lives, carrying with them the lessons of unity and perseverance. For Alex, the experience changed him in ways he never expected. No longer did he doubt his abilities or feel overshadowed by others. He realized that true strength came from contributing, no matter how small the role might seem. Maya and Kevin, too, found new purpose. They decided to stay on as advisors, helping train the next generation of pilots and engineers. Their partnership, forged in the heat of battle, had grown into a lasting friendship. Weeks later, as life slowly returned to normal, Alex visited a school in his hometown. Standing in front of a classroom full of curious children, he shared his story, not to boast, but to inspire. The biggest challenges often bring out the best in us, he told them. Never forget that you don't have to face them alone. Together, we can overcome anything. Ethan, sitting in the front row, grinned proudly. For him, Alex wasn't just a hero. He was proof that anyone could make a difference. As the students clapped and cheered, Alex felt a renewed sense of hope. The battle may have ended, but the journey was far from over. Humanity had proven its strength, and whatever challenges lay ahead, it would face them with the same courage and unity that had saved Earth. In the end, the message was clear. Humanity wasn't defined by its fears or failures. It was defined by its ability to rise above them. And as long as people stood together, there was nothing they couldn't achieve.